Welcome back to Made for More. I am your host, Holly J. Moore. Made for More is all about how to show up as the best version of yourself in your life. We don't want you just surviving through life. We want you to absolutely thrive. And I am joined with my thriving producer, Aron Bender.
Thank you so much, Holly. I really appreciate it.
Yes.
Back to you.
Well, shoot. I mean, I was hoping you were going to give me some more to go on than that because, we don't even know what we're talking about today.
Well, and that's the problem is I didn't come in for the pre-production interview like I normally do.
Nope, you didn't.
So, yeah.
I haven't even seen you this morning.
No.
You've been holed up in your little studio cave.
Yes. That's how we go.
Yes.
No, just putting all the episodes together. But in doing so, was talking with Abby, my wife, about all the different episodes, and I was asking, what's your takeaway from either this episode or that episode? And it got me thinking that we should probably kind of do our own little chat about what we learned, because we have mentioned in various parts of various episodes, like, oh, okay, well, we learned this from this other episode, and we learned that from this other one. You referenced recently with the dating coach, Julie Furman, the divorce recovery coach.
We've learned so much.
Yep.
From so many different episodes, from 24 episodes
What
so
would
far.
you, well, yeah, and by the time this airs, it could be 36 episodes. I don't know.
Well, I mean, based on the timeline of your editing, that's very possible.
I've been put on a performance improvement plan by the podcast guru.
Yes.
I'm the podcast guru.
Yes.
But
I will have to say,
Yes.
talking business now.
Yes.
You are definitely an A player because I've never had an employee put themselves on a PIP before.
It's
You're the
interesting.
first one.
Thank you.
And I say that is the sign of an A player.
Thank you. I'm sorry, and you're welcome. No, you know what it is? Somebody who spent many years in radio and in media, it's very kind of individualized, and you kind of have to massage egos and finesse, right?
Yeah, I know you have to massage my ego all the time.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
You're that's right, boss.
Yeah. I mean, just I'm a real diva.
But as we have your glam. Glam team?
Yes,
off to the
my
right.
one
woman always at the ready.
Team. Yes.
Liz is amazing. Speaking of glam, should I be getting
some
some
glam? Oh my God, that's right. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, because the episode
Liz,
is just us two
get
today.
Him some glam.
So please, Liz,
yes.
if you don't mind, make sure you have my color. Okay.
Are you gonna do a pink nude lip or a peach nude lip today?
Yes. While she's doing the glam, I'll talk about how one of my bosses at Cal State Northridge, where I was teaching for many years. Oh, thank you, Liz. Thank you, Liz. Taught me the importance of managing up.
Oh,
and
what does that even mean?
It basically you don't wait for your manager or direct supervisor or boss to take corrective action or. Yeah. She or he, your supervisor, should not be the last person to know about an issue or some sort of something going on.
Right.
So you manage up. You're like, hey, this is what's happening. This is what's going on, and these are the the corrective measures I'm taking.
Yes.
Here I am still closing my eyes, thinking Liz is still here. She's like, you don't need much because I can't do much with you.
No.
So. And same thing, like our COO, Valerie Coleman here.
Yes.
She talks about doing the 1-3-1. You come to me with one problem, and hopefully 3 solutions, or three proposed solutions, and we'll pick one together. And that is a lot of what managing up is about.
Got it.
And so while the listeners and viewers may not see that podcasts are last minute editing and posting and things like that because they show up every Wednesday as they're supposed to.
Yes.
There's an internal timeline, a behind the scenes timeline that Buddy Boy here ain't meeting. So
wasn't meeting.
Right.
You are now.
Yes, because
as of yesterday.
For the next month, we're good.
Yes.
We're good. There aren't any episodes, but no. So But it felt good to be like, hey, you know what? This is what's happening, and these are the corrective measures I'm taking. So
Yeah.
that's a little behind the scenes. But
Yeah, for sure.
also behind the scenes, like one of the episodes, like Justin Edison a few weeks ago, the celebrity bodyguard and practicing stoic,
Yes.
was talking about the importance of managing emotions.
Yes.
And just saying, you know what's going to happen is going to happen, and just accepting your fate. You know, I'm a
Yes.
man of faith, and you guys talked about how whether faith and stoicism
Yes.
can coexist.
Yes.
And I think it very much can.
Yes. Yes. You know what I learned from Justin's episode, probably the most, is how I want to be like him with the microphone. I mean, I just keep staring at that, going, God, he navigated that microphone so well.
He's
He
gigantor,
was like
though. So
yes,
he was cradling that microphone like a baby.
Be like Justin with the microphone. He was like a newborn little baby. He had that mic like this. Does this look weird with me?
I don't think so. Let me see.
I mean, but it feels weird. He didn't seem awkward with it at all.
No.
He was just like,
I think the microphone was living in his space, whereas we have to.
He made that microphone his bitch.
Yeah. Language. All right, I've got to mark that here. Okay.
Just bleep it.
5 minutes
Yeah,
in.
bleep it. But no, okay, I do have to say, I learn so much all the time from Justin, literally just from his content on Instagram. And like, I loved doing the episode with him, but I want to share something with the world that happened after the episode, because I literally keep ruminating on it after, because it was just such an aha moment for me.
Yeah.
So I sent him a text because I was writing a caption for one of the reels of him. And, you know, because we post like a bunch of reels after to kind of like promote the episode, give people a little taste of what's to come. And so I texted him asking him, what is the name of this Stoic principle? So I could like write it in the caption. And, you know, 10 seconds went by and he didn't text me back. And so I went to Google and like Googled, what is this concept in Stoicism? And then I texted him like, disregard my text. I just found it on Google. Like, you took too long to respond, something like that. And he texted me back maybe like 2 minutes later. And he was like, you need to have some patience. I'm like, I know, but I don't. Like, patience is not a virtue that I possess.
Yeah.
And he said, that's because you don't practice. What?
Burn.
Burn and exploding mind, because do you ever really think about virtues or like personality traits as something that you could practice and then acquire? Like, I have never thought about it like that.
I only thought about that in the last few years with all of the, the life events that I've gone through. And it was very obvious to me at various points over the last 5 years that it's like, you know what, the way you've been living, not good. Like, it's just not, it's not productive. It's not productive for you. It's not productive for the people around you. It's not healthy. So I started just kind of picking apart, some by choice, some by like, no, you need to fix this, or, A, B, and C are going to happen and you're not going to like it. But just kind of picking apart those things. And one of those was the patience aspect.
Really?
And I when it comes to like the kids running around, not listening, not doing their things, I was a snapper.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a snapper. And that was a personality trait developed from childhood where it was like everything, I needed to control everything.
Right.
And so that's one thing that I've tried to work on.
So do you practice not snapping?
Right. And just taking a beat, a lot like what Justin was talking about. Just take that beat, reflect, and then react, and then respond.
Yes.
Reflection first, then response and reply.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I guess, yes, I have tried to, I was talking to my parents the other day, and I've mentioned my parents before, and I had like the most amazing childhood. I was blessed with the most amazing parents, but I was talking to them, cause it's like they watch the episodes and then we kind of do a little mini debrief ourselves.
That. Yes.
Yeah. And so we were talking about Justin's episode, and we keep talking about that one cause it's fresh in our mind. Right.
Yes.
But I was like, Mom, did you know that like not everybody in the world when they get mad like screams and yells and slams doors and says things that they don't mean. Like, did you know there's like a different way to do that? And she's like, well, I mean, yes. And I'm like, I didn't know that until more recently. I did not know that people can have disagreements and not like literally duke it out, say mean things, regret how it all went down, punch through walls. Like, I didn't know that because that was, you know, my mom has a bad temper. My brother had a terrible temper. They called him the Italian temper.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yes. And so that's kind of my frame of reference, you know, for how you do conflict. And it's like you kind of have to unlearn that.
Yeah. And a lot of times we don't understand that until we are now in the position of our parents.
Yeah.
And be like, oh, that's okay. That's why they were doing what they were doing because they learned it from their parents. And it's all about, you know, breaking that not the generational curse, but it just
unlearning it.
Yeah. And,
for sure.
And also forgiving. This is one of the huge things. And I it's been touched on in a few episodes. Forgiving our parents.
Yeah.
Because they had no idea.
Yeah.
They had no idea what they were doing.
The best they can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I think about that a lot with my kids. Like, what will they be forgiving me for? What will they be like, Mom, God bless her heart. Like, she didn't know any better, you know, because there will be things. There are things.
It's not going to be perfect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I mean, that was, you know, okay, so let's segue into Craig's episode, Backwards Counseling. You know, that's kind of some of the stuff that he talked about is, you know, generationally, like we have this stuff that goes on, this emotional trauma, and then it shows up for generations to come, which is wild. But it's like, yeah, all this stuff comes from somewhere. Yeah. But ultimately, it's not our fault, but we are responsible to do better. Yeah,
and once you recognize that, okay, this is why I'm doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And I don't blame my parents. I forgive them.
Yeah.
And, you know, take the responsibility on ourselves. Be like, okay, yeah, I now understand why I'm doing what I'm doing, and now I get to change it. Yeah. And now I get to, because I was just talking about this with the kids, because I, again, recently got married. She has 2 kids. I have 2 kids. So now we have 4 together, and that's a whole dynamic.
I bet.
We could spend a whole episode, I think, talking just about that. But I was telling them because, you know, they tease each other sometimes, and a lot of times it gets out of control. Mm-hmm. And I told them, I said, you never know what words will come out of your mouth that will stick with that other person for life.
For
life.
I know.
Like there are things from grade school that I still carry with me.
Me too.
And I think about them as like, okay, that was then. It's not what it is anymore, and I forgive whoever that was.
Right.
Because they didn't know. They were working through their own shit.
Yes, I know. Aren't we all? Like we're all just kind of on our journey of working through stuff.
And I think back to a couple things really, really stand out from episodes. One of which is one of our more popular episodes early on was Russell Reynolds.
Yes.
And his idea of service and being of service to your family, being of service to your community, being of service to your God. And so that really stuck with me.
Yeah.
And I think it was Tommy McAllister, the
husband coach.
The husband coach.
Yeah.
Talking about how emotions last only 90 seconds. Was that him?
Oh, no, that was Craig.
That was Craig.
Okay. Craig.
So emotions only last, thank you. Yes, it was. Emotions only last 90 seconds. So anything happening after that is you just beating yourself up and replaying it.
Making the choice to keep the tape rolling.
Yes. And that comes from a place of shame, and we can get into all kinds of things like that. But there's so many little things from these different episodes that stay with me, and I love it. Yeah,
I know. We're learning a lot.
We had no idea. You tell me, when you started this venture, what did you think you were going to get out of either it as a whole or each episode?
I thought I was going to get my makeup done every other week.
Check. Box check.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a really good question. I mean, I had no idea. I know you and Valerie talked behind my back, and she's like, just get ready. Holly gets bored with stuff. So she's got this brilliant idea.
I don't know what you're talking about. I was hired. I was brought on. Yes.
She's got this, harebrained idea. She wants to do a podcast. Like, let her do it. But, she's probably going to get bored with it. And I mean, yes, there could come a day where I will get bored with it. But I never thought I would love it as much as I do. I never thought I would get as much out of it as I'm getting out of it.
I've not done anything in my 25 media career.
Yeah.
I've not done anything that I've gotten this much out of.
What?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, because when you're doing news, it's everything is changed the next day.
Yes.
Sometimes the next hour. So
Yeah.
it's like you report the stories and you move on. Report the stories, move on. When I was doing my podcasts, I wasn't as invested in it in terms of my own learning and my own. I was just like, let me get their stories out there. Let me get their stories out.
Everyone has a story. I'm here to get them to tell it.
Wow, well done. Look at you.
Wasn't that your tagline?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone has a story. I get them to tell it.
Yes.
Yes. Yes. You're the one person who watched that podcast. But I
actually didn't watch it. I'm sorry. I just went on the internet to make sure you were.
First 10 seconds. First 10 seconds of the episode.
And that's all that matters.
Yeah. So the idea, though, is I was just getting their stories out,
Yeah.
And I wasn't necessarily investing much of me and being vulnerable on my side to really take in what they were saying as, like, oh, okay, well, let me learn something from them.
But how could you not have? Because, I mean, it's not like you're here every day being vulnerable yourself, you know?
But when you have a wall up and you kind of poke a little hole in that wall just to see on the other side,
right?
You still have that wall up.
Yeah.
Okay, it's really hard for stuff to get in. But when you break down the wall and you actually take in the view and listen to what everybody's talking about, it's like, oh, okay. Oh, I can work on that. I can work on that. Great. So those walls, you ready for this? Here's the nugget.
Oh, my God.
So the bricks that were in that wall now become your foundation.
Oh. What's happening?
No, we're not really done.
It was a mic drop.
It was a
moment.
headphone drop, but I don't want to break the microphone.
Yeah, don't break the mics. I'm like, wait, what's going on? Okay, headphone drop.
Okay.
Yeah.
And back.
Yes, but did something just turn off?
No.
The monitor is
off.
off.
It's just the monitor.
Oh.
That's fine.
Okay, but so do you think that it has to do maybe with the place in your life that you are?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And that's what I'm grateful for, is that I have the opportunity to be in this place in my life, to be able to get this, because I don't know that I would be mentally and emotionally in a place to be the producer of this podcast at any other point in my life. Because I wouldn't get much out of it. I would be bored by now because if I'm not invested in each episode and listening to each episode, how can I produce it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because you have to watch it like more than once.
Yeah.
Yeah, you live it and then you watch it, you edit it,
Right. Right. And if I'm not invested, if I'm not interested, then what's the point?
Right.
Yeah, I would just be episode what edit.
Right. Yeah, that's so interesting. Yeah, I mean, you've really got me stumped with the question of like, what was I expecting to get out of it?
Yeah.
Because really how it came to be was like, I was in Paris last summer with my business coach, and we were riding on a bus through like the cobblestone streets of Paris. And he's like, Holly, why do you not have a podcast? And I'm like, I cannot think of anything I would rather not do. That was literally what I said. Oh my gosh, never will I have a podcast. I don't listen to podcasts myself. It doesn't interest me to do one. But I think in the moment, I was thinking about it in terms of me talking on the podcast every day. I hadn't put the connection together to like have other people on a podcast and talk to them. And like, I even told Jeff, like, oh my God, it's so crazy. Arjan was like, why of all people do you not have a podcast?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, you should have a podcast. I'm like, oh my God, I can't imagine anything worse.
What was Arjan's reasoning though? Was it just like from a marketing standpoint, or was it like, Holly, you have stories to tell and stories to share, or insight or something?
I mean, both. Like, he's like, and he, I don't necessarily think this is true, but he's like, you're a very compelling and engaging person.
It is true.
Like, thank you. Yes. I mean, I'm your boss. You have to say that. But
that's also true.
But he's like, not everybody can do a successful podcast. I really think you would be like successful in that medium. But again, I was like, I literally can't think of anything I'd rather not do.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was Paris last summer.
Okay, that was last summer. So fast forward to, I was sitting in a business meet. I go, quarterly, sometimes more than once a quarter, to like different business meetings where we're working on the business aspect of the law firm. And at that particular meeting, the speaker was like, talking about how really everyone should have a personal brand, which I had already kind of started down that road with my Instagram pet project. And then he was like, and really everybody would benefit from having a podcast. And even then I was still kind of like, I don't think so.
All these little signs.
Yes.
And you're like,
and then,
not for me.
Right. And then at dinner that night with two friends that are also in the same program, like one of them has a podcast, which I've actually been on her podcast multiple times. Heather Quick, she runs women's divorce group, women's something.
Why has she not been on this podcast?
Oh my God, that's a great question. We should have her.
Yes. Okay.
Heather Quick,
okay.
You're coming on the podcast because I've been on hers twice.
This is your invite.
Yes. So, and she was like, oh yeah, like the podcast has been great for the firm, like, and for business and blah, blah, blah. But hers is very like focused. I mean,
yes.
This one is very broad. It's almost like a lifestyle podcast. Yes. We're talking about champagne one week and, stoicism the next. Like, it's very broad. Hers is more specific to women's legal divorce issues. But after she kind of said like, yeah, it's been so great, I was like, I could try it.
Yeah.
But again, in my mind, I'm thinking like, okay, we're just gonna, me and I did have the idea to like bring guests on because I had also started to connect with people on Instagram at this point.
Okay.
Oh, this was really the nail in the coffin to do it, is because I started to connect. Lily Shepard is an excellent example of this. I'm like, this woman is so interesting. I wish I could like talk to her for an hour.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I'm like, if I had a podcast, I could do that. Like these people that are really intriguing to me, I could talk to them for an hour and then like everybody else could hear the conversation and benefit from all these things that I feel like I'm benefiting from. So.
And here we are. And Lily was our first guest.
Lily was our very first guest because it was really thinking, I really just wish I could talk to this person for an hour, that really kind of like pushed me over the edge. But again, I was thinking, me like talking into my phone, maybe, I don't know. And then Valerie, the COO, she's like, no. You never do anything small. We're not doing this small. Like, you got to get hair and makeup. We need a producer. It's going to be, film and audio. And I'm like, okay, off to the races we go.
And my favorite part of that whole planning process was when I met with you and Elise down in what was going to be the podcast studio downstairs.
Oh my God, yes.
And I suggested, we just do something in this little corner here.
Yeah, and you're like, we can hang a bedspread on the window for like lighting.
Just acoustics. And, to block the lighting, but still kind of just filter the light coming in. And Elise goes, do you know anything about us? There will be no bedspreads.
Right. Yes.
There will be no paper clips or 3M hooks on these damn walls.
That's right.
And but then that studio fell through.
Yeah.
And I wish maybe I'll see if I can find a picture of the first studio that I created in this space.
Yes.
It was a small round conference table, a camera, and that wall behind me. That's it.
Yeah, it was like a hostage video. Yes. It was like a floating head, everything black around, and the camera's like right in your face.
Because the aesthetic was, it's of More Family Law Group is is black and gold. Is
Yes.
like it's front and
You
center.
had the black.
Yes, yeah, and I'm like, well, she can bring
This
the gold.
should work.
She
Yeah.
can bring the
Yeah.
gold.
Yeah.
And y'all just laughed me out of the building, and I
Yes.
don't blame you.
Yes.
I don't blame you. But that was also an aspect of my learning your aesthetic and you learning that I need to be told 16 times that this studio is not going to work.
Right.
Yeah, but going into it though, if you go back to what we've learned from the podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You went into it without really kind of any expectation, and
True.
that's something that Justin would probably preach.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Is
Justin, look how good I did on that.
not to go into it with any expectations, because if you do,
don't get attached to outcomes.
Yes.
That's what he says.
Yes.
And I guess like the lesson in that, the proof in that pudding is like, those are probably usually the most successful things when you don't have, an expectation about what it should be like.
Or you also don't do it for anybody else.
Right.
Like you are literally doing this for yourself with guests you find interesting.
Yes.
And conversations you find interesting.
Yes.
And if people pick up on that, okay, that's great. But if not, at least we're enjoying it.
Yeah.
Because a few weeks ago, I think, and this happens in every creative endeavor, kind of go through a lull.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know what? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really like what's happening, this, that, and the other, whatever.
Yeah.
And so we bring in Jesse, who is doing a bang up job booking
our new
guests.
booking coordinator.
Yep.
Yes.
But that's also the idea of leveling up. It's like, okay, I've reached this plateau. What do I need to get to the next plateau?
I can only slide
Booking.
into so many DMs.
Yeah. And that's another thing also is it was taking away from your creative experience, having to also find the guests and book the guests and everything, because your Instagram at Holly J. Moore is that's
Thank you for that shameless plug.
a lot of times it's very shameless. A lot of times that's the best way to get a hold of people is I'm going to send a message from my check-marked account so that they know, like, okay, this is, and a lot of times not guests, but podcasts are sometimes hamstrung by like, I've got all these great ideas. I want to get it out. Nobody's responding to my stuff.
Right. Yeah.
And to have somebody like Jessie who, she's booking. She's booking the heck out of this podcast.
She
it's
is,
great.
yes.
It's great.
And there's so many like exciting guests to come. I'm looking forward to that. So
like who?
Well,
I'm just kidding. No. I just
we
put you on
can't
the spot.
say for sure.
Yeah, I don't we don't have our Calendly in front of me.
Yeah.
Calendly, do better. Yeah. So that's not nice. That's not nice. Do you want to is there any other episode that you'd like to touch on? Here I'm looking at you again.
I know. I've been trying not to look at you the whole time. I've been doing very good. Just like, camera, monitor above it.
And then I broke the 18th wall here. No. So is there any other episode that you feel like really we need to touch on, or be like, you know what, I learned a lot from this and it still sticks with me to the to this day?
I loved Danae Logan's episode.
Yes.
Like, I just think, and it's kind of funny because sometimes I can't remember, is this something that we talked about on the podcast, or is this because I follow them on Instagram? I see their content every day, you know? So, but like, she posts amazing content daily, which just, to me, it resonates so much. Probably because I'm in that, I'm right near that window that she talks about for women of like the 38 to 42, like you kind of like have this awakening in life where it's like, okay, yeah, you can kind of live on your own terms and on your own rules. So I loved the content of her episode. Her book, Sovereign Love, is so good. I actually want to read it again because I kind of read through it prior to that episode just so I could be prepped for it. But I want to like read it again at my own leisure to really like soak it in. But I just think for women, I mean, Aaron, you're probably like, I don't know. But I think for women, it was so profound.
Well, that's the thing also, that as as a husband and as the father of now 3 girls, I need that kind of input. I need that kind of information source plugged into my brain so that I can help my wife, level up. I can help my daughters level up, and I can help my son, which is strange for me to say, my son, because I didn't have a son.
Yeah, you haven't had a son before.
But help my son be the best man for, because like, for example, okay, we're gonna break down all the walls here.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're doing it. It's just raw and real today.
I live with 4 women. Mm-hmm. Okay. We're just gonna, Abby, if you're watching, I know you are watching.
Wait, is this okay for you to say?
Sure. You know what? Because in a few years, the house will be cycling. We'll say that. Okay. We will say that. And we're open about it at home.
Sooner than you think.
Yeah. Well, in a few years, everybody is what I'm saying. And we talk to the 7-year-old boy about this and say, you know what? You need to be in a position to support your partner, to support the women in your life.
Yes.
And so that you talk about, like, you know, as a man, you might not want to hear this, talk about, you know, feminine movement and everything like that. It's like, no, I need to be able to support the women in my life by listening to these and accepting these concepts.
Very true. Yeah. I mean, yes. Any man who will sit and listen. It's like the Matchmaker episode with the elevator, you know?
Oh, that's the best.
Yes.
Abby absolutely loved that.
Yes.
Well, Julie's like, I'm at the 14th floor.
Right.
Or the 12th floor.
What does she call it, though? Of emotional...
availability, emotional willingness, or something like that. And she's like, I'm at the 12th floor.
Yeah.
Can you come up to 4?
Yeah. The guy at least needs to be able to get on the 4th floor. Yeah. But you know what my big takeaway from the Matchmaker episode is should I find myself single at any time in my life from here on? Hopefully I won't, but like I'm definitely hiring a matchmaker.
Yes. The dating sites stay off.
Oh my gosh. But you know, I've never like really thought about what would I do, because that's probably a good sign that I haven't thought how will I go about dating, you know? But that episode made me think like, oh my gosh. And I need to talk to a couple of my single friends, because I'm like, I know they are on the dating websites and they're very high level professionals. And I'm like, cut that out, like get off the dating website, hire a matchmaker, because that just seems so much more civilized.
It's like, and you're probably in a position where you have friends and I who have bespoke this, you know, a bespoke table, a bespoke outfit, bespoke shoes, you know, something like that, right?
Yes.
Why not a bespoke
dating experience,
yes. You know, to find probably the most important part of your life.
For sure.
In a partner.
Know. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. That episode was really fun and interesting. And you know, I don't think about dating a lot because I don't date. Right. I just date one guy.
And that's important too, is you still date him.
Yes. Very true.
Yes.
But so it was just like, oh my God, the stuff she was telling us, I was like, what? Like, this is crazy.
But that's what's nice, is you get something out of every episode of Made for More.
Yeah, you do.
Because you were made for more.
Okay, all right. Yeah, let's end it with that.
You want to?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
No, you.
I just
we
did.
Yeah, we're done.